Hey gang, Uncle Todd and Sonny here. And since we did a Giallo last week, I'm going to do a slasher this week. A Christmas slasher. Not one with a Santa Claus in it. Gotta, space these ones out, Not a lot of Santa killer movies. Anyway, we're looking at a early 80s slasher called The Dorm That Dripped Blood. And yes, for you old time horror fans, that title was inspired by the Amicus anthology film The House That Dripped Blood, which starred Christopher Lee, Denholm Elliott, Ingrid Pitt, Peter Cushing, and John Pertwee of Doctor Who fame. But on to this one. This also had other titles, Pranks and Death Dorm, and was of course on the Video Nasties list, although not sure why. I mean, the release version, they had to cut some of the gore effects out to get an R rating. The MPAA was starting to crack down on horror films. That's why after the first couple of Friday the 13th, you started to see the effects sort of get cut away, and you see more aftermath than anything. But anyways, this was mostly filmed on weekends, being a low-budget film, and is the screen debut of two important people. One is Daphne Zuniga. I'm sure you remember her from her 80s heyday. See? Very memorable. She, of course, went on to make such great teen classics as The Sure Thing, Vision Quest. But for us horror fans, she was in The Fly 2 and The Initiation. The other big screen debut here is Christopher Young, a very, very prolific film composer who ironically also did the score for The Fly 2. Howard Shore did the score for Fly. Anyway, we open with a student being attacked, as all good slashers should be. Okay, who is he? Don't know. What do you have to do with the film? Don't know. Why did he get killed? Don't know. Will that get revealed?
Perhaps.
Probably not. Anyway, we are then introduced to our final girl, Joanne, who is having a bit of a problem with her boyfriend.
Yesterday, I found a little place. It's a single apartment, but it's big enough for the two of us.
Now, we could move our stuff in there in one day.
Come on. What do you say?
You've got to give me more time to think about it.
Yeah, you see, the dorm is being closed. They're at a end of semester Christmas party type deal. And he, of course, since they've been dating for 2 years, would like Joanne to move in with him. And she's just not sure. Even though she's had several weeks to think about it, you get the feeling maybe he's not the love of her life. Anyway, she and 4 other students will be staying over the break. Her boyfriend's going skiing. Lucky dog. And they are going to stay in the dorm, get it cleaned up, move all the furniture out, and then board it up over about 2 weeks. 5 people going to do all that in 2 weeks. Must be a small campus. Anyway, since we've met our main character, Joanne, it's time to meet the other victims. Students. First, there's Debbie.
Did you talk to your parents yet?
No, but they'll be calling me first thing in the morning. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to help.
Then there's Brian.
What happened to you?
I was just trying to get a head start fixing some of this stuff. It looks like we're going to have to junk that old mimeograph machine, Joanne. It's a mess.
And lastly, we have Craig and Patty.
Kitchen is the last thing we should close up.
Yeah, that's right. We got to make all our meals in there. And because Patty eats a lot.
He's a charmer, that Craig. Anyways, unfortunately, Debbie can't stay to help. Her grandmother's taken ill, and her parents are coming to pick her up that night. So, after a day of helping with what she can, at night, after everyone goes back to their rooms, Debbie gets prepared to get picked up by her parents, but someone doesn't think they should leave. Wow. Okay. Well, Debbie, of course, coming down the steps, runs into her father's body there, and then runs to the car, and when she sees what's happened to her mother, has the obvious reaction you would have as a teenager. Like I said, natural. Although, this does work to our killer's advantage, because now he just has to do one little thing to make it a clean sweep. I don't know if I like that crunching sound it made. Anyways, being the conscientious killer he is, or she is, they put the bodies in the trunk of the car and then drive off. Keep everything neat and tidy. The next day, while making breakfast, the students find out that there's still someone left on campus. That is John Hammett, the campus's weird student. There's always one. Or more. I was one of several at my college campus. Anyway, he's not supposed to be there. No one is. He can't just be staying there. So, Joanne says she'll go and talk to him. But first she has to deal with a few things. Most namely, the building maintenance guy, who has a bit of a problem himself.
What is it?
Who's over there in Dayton?
Well, there's 4 of us.
My best drill. You can't get them like that anymore. Christ, if somebody wants to borrow it...
Wait a minute, Bill. Did you see who took it?
I wish I did. I'd give him a piece of my mind.
A missing drill. I'm sure that will have no bearing on any events later in the film. She's pretty sure that Hammett must have taken that as well. So she goes to his room. He's not there, although she suspects he is, and leaves a note letting him know he has to vacate. On her way back, she runs into our next important character. What was his name? Bobby Lee Trimble, who deals in used furniture.
Well, the desks will be outside by noon.
You here all alone? I mean, is anybody else helping you out?
Yes, there's a group of us here.
All right. Well, you take care now.
Bye-bye.
He's creepy. Everybody's creepy around this movie. Anyway. We then are treated to a long sequence where, as they end for the day, and everybody's going to enjoy playing pool and drinking beer, Hammett pops up in a window. Well, they've got to do something about that, so they go looking for him. They split into teams. And then those teams split up because, that's what you do in a horror film. You gotta split up. Apparently. The heck? Okay. My light died. It happens. I don't know, kind of like the look. Might keep it for this one. Anyways, after the search pulls up absolutely no one. Can't be found. They all turn in for the night. At which point, that Bobby Lee guy gets even creepier.
Just want to get some fresh air.
Bobby Lee, why would you want to go out for a drive when you could stay home with me?
Alice, go back to bed.
Okay. He'd rather go out by himself, middle of the night, when he has an attractive woman who apparently cares for him at home. Well, let's see what's going on back at the campus. Oh, well, there you go. Now we know what happened to the drill. It's like how it got a little arty there. The next day, Craig and Brian run into Hammett and try and talk with him. Sorta.
Look, it isn't that we don't like you or anything, all right? But if you keep hanging around here, you're gonna get yourself hurt. Do you understand? So why don't you just stay the hell away?
I don't believe that was very effective communication, shall we say. Well, we then get some more character building in which we find out who likes who among this group. Craig seems to like Patty. He certainly hits on her enough. But she's more interested in Brian, of course, because he's the cool, laid-back one. Anyways, that night at dinner, after some of their bread goes missing, and they decide that it's Hammett, of course, they go to have it out with him again. And while they're gone, this happens to their dinner. Okay, that's the last straw. Joanne calls police. Officer arrives, takes down their statement. When he gets a description of Hammett, he says, we picked up a guy a little earlier who kind of matches that description. Maybe that's him. Well, they might not have anything to worry about now, should they? So, they find something to eat, and then they all go back to the rooms, and then the power goes out. And the phone. Well, isn't that convenient? So, Brian, who was playing pool, heads back up to see what's up with the circuits, and runs into a bit of a problem.
He was here. Now get the thing out of my eye.
Ugh. Nasty. Anyways, Craig and Patty show up at Joanne's door, and she decides to need a plan. She'll wait for Brian. Patty and Craig can go down and see if they can fix the lights. Now, they can also get some flashlights down there, which will come in handy because they only have a few candles. Well, Craig and Patty go into the kitchen, where Craig goes over to the power box and he starts fiddling with it, which only turns on the machines in the kitchen and the Christmas lights. And then Patty can't get any response from him. That's not good. Oh, that was not good.
Just because something isn't good doesn't mean it's bad.
Maybe, but in this case, I'm putting that it's bad. She was still alive and trying to get out. Back upstairs. Craig returns with a bit of a goose egg on his head. Seems someone struck him from behind. And he can't find Patty. He can't find Brian. He can't find anyone. And then they see Hammett wandering around with a machete with him. Oh, God, he must be the killer. Okay, what are we going to do? Well, they wait for a while. Then they decide it's time to try and get out. So they start creeping down the stairs.
Hi, Kiba.
Cold cocked him right there. Well, he tries to grab Joanne, but she manages to get away and lock herself in a room where, well, he's outside apologizing for taking their bread, but he really needs to get her out of there. Let him help her get out of the building. It's important. She discovers Brian's body along with the machete and decides to open the door, but not the way he's expecting.
Hi, Kiba.
Oh, that had to hurt, but you kind of noticed that was fake, right? The way his shoulder was like that. Anyway, well, we then get more of a chase down to the basement. She gets away from him a second time. She runs into Craig, who has recovered, and they try to sneak around through some tunnels, but they can't seem to get around him. So there's only one thing they can do. They've got to go on the offensive. She'll lure him in, and Craig will take care of him.
just about solves the mystery.
That's it. But we've got like 15 minutes left. That'd be a heck of a wrap up. Oh, kudos to Joanne with that. No. Turns out he's not the killer. In fact, it's also not Terry Lee. Or Bobby Lee. Well, I'll let the killer explain.
Don't you understand? It's been me the whole time. I'm the one.
I'm not gonna hurt you. I love you. I'm not gonna hurt you like all the others. I had to get rid of him also, so that we could be alone, so that we could be together.
So, he killed Debbie's parents, Debbie, Brian, and Patty so that he could be alone with Joanne.
That's right.
This doesn't explain why the one student was killed in the pre-credit sequence. Oh, and apparently Hemet had seen him kill Patty, so he had been trying to rescue Joanne, but, well, we saw how that turned out. Anyways, this is all pieced together throughout several chase sequences. And after the whole confession, and he shows her all the bodies, which look pretty gnarly. She gets away again, gets caught again, but she tries to placate him. You know, I'm sorry, we can be together, da 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 da. But it gets ruined by the appearance of good old Bobby Lee.
What's going on down there? Hey! Hey! Oh my God! George, is that you?
So we get another chase scene, and again Joanne gets caught. At which point Craig has a realization.
But you don't even like me, huh? You're just like everybody else. Well, you're gonna end up just like everybody else too.
But he doesn't have time right now. Bobby Lee's coming, so he knocks her out by slamming her head against one of the pipes, and then hides her so that he and Bobby Lee can have it out. Eventually, the older man gets the upper hand. And just then the police arrive. Remember? They were going to check back to make sure everything was okay. Well, of course, both men say the other one did it. And they say, yeah, we'll get this all cleared up. But right now, Bobby Lee's got to drop that knife. And then Craig makes his play.
You're a dead man. Do you hear me? You are dead.
3! Turn around!
Wow, things played out in Craig's favor. He can put all the blame on Bobby Joe there. Or Bobby Lee. Of course, that does leave Joanne. I mean, once she's found and they talk to her, that'll put a whole new spin on things. Craig is smart. He sends the police upstairs saying he'll stay downstairs and wait for them. So they go up to check the other bodies. And then he pulls the unconscious Joanne out from where he hit her. And then we get the unexpected ending.
He was just here a minute ago. I left him right here. Why don't you have a look back there where the incinerator is?
Oh, sorry. Somebody needed some affection. I know what you're thinking. Hey, they're going to check the incinerator and stop him. Not in this movie.
Everything set?
Yeah.
Gosh, that thing stinks. Is it supposed to smoke that way? Well, it doesn't matter. They'll be tearing this place down anyway.
Wow. Is that not a gut punch of an ending? The final girl doesn't survive. There's no final girl. The guy gets away with it. Amazing. This would never have worked if the old film code was still in effect, but it was the 80s. It had died in the 70s, and downbeat endings could be done. Of course, most slasher films and other films of horror would always have the happy ending with the little surprise at the end, where basically the killer wasn't dead. But here, no, he gets away with the whole thing. The film itself is okay. There's way too much wandering around in it. And the attempts at characterization really aren't that interesting. You've got the main character who's not sure she still loves her boyfriend and wants to move in with him. You got like the guy Brian, who's just like the cool, understanding guy, and then Craig's the practical joker who everybody gets irritated by, and Patty is, well, timid, basically. But even Friday the 13th, the first one, actually gave you some actual characterization with the characters. This one, not so much. But most of them did not go on really past this. Although the actress that played Joanne, she had a couple other credits, but yeah, the only ones that really went on were, of course, Daphne Zuniga and the composer Christopher Young. But, yeah, the only reason I think this film still has any popularity is because of the ending, because it is so unexpected and so different from other slashers. But other than that, there's really not much to recommend it. The effects are kind of low budget and kind of obvious, and with only 4 characters for the majority of the film, there's really for people like slashers, they like a body count because of Friday the 13th. You always had those big body counts, and this, no. And there's just a lot of dragging, slow-paced, boring, wandering around in the dark for a lot of the films. It doesn't really add the tension that they're hoping for, I guess you could say. But yeah, it's just a low-budget slasher that had an interesting ending, and that's about it. Please hit like, share, subscribe, and stay after the credits for my favorite scene.